Go.
Okay. Welcome, you guys. Look at all of y'all showing up on a rainy Thursday afternoon in February, Black History Month.
Woo woo.
Yes. All right. Let's just do a quick little check-in. Who wants to unmute and tell us how you doing? How you doing? Or you can write it in the chat. I know this is like our chat generation.
Don't be shy, y'all.
I know, crickets. We got some of our students doing
Hello.
good. Okay, yes. Hello, Isabella.
Hi, Miss Dawes.
How are you
I'm good.
doing?
How
Thank
are
you for
you?
joining and joining on time. I'm good. Came
Hello.
out to support me and Zoe or Zoe. Hello,
Hi,
Marcel.
Miss Dawes. Good and
Hello, how are
you?
you? I'm great. Now you guys are on. Just waiting for a few more.
Hello,
Hello, Maurice. How are
I'm
you?
doing great. Homework.
Okay. You have homework.
Yes.
Okay. Well, did you already do your homework?
I'm still doing it. I'm close to finishing though.
Okay. All right. Awesome. I know we all hate homework. All right. Anybody else? How you guys doing? Mr. Patterson, what have you guys been up to for Black History Month over at AV?
Well, we got a few things kind of populating, cracking lacking over at AV. The first that was Thursday, the second. We normally do our HBCU T-shirt day on the first Wednesday, but that first Wednesday of February was actually student free day. So we
Yes.
did our celebration on the second. So we had a Divine Nine lunchtime celebration where the different BSU members kind of gave a history of the different Divine Nine fraternities and sororities.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we worked with our ASB to kind of help create size, and each student kind of gave a little bit of history about the formation of the Divine Nine, some of their famous alumni. We had Shannon Williams kind of come and spend some time with us, so that was very good. We're having Black History Facts read from Brother Jamal Brown, Black 365 calendar, doing our morning announcements. We were hoping to get versions of Lift Every Voices Sing sung during the morning announcement, but our musicians or our singers, one kind of graduated and the other one wasn't feeling well, so we haven't been able to quite pull that together.
You know what? I like that. Okay, Soar Prep. Who wants to sing, lift every voice and sing for the morning announcements? Any volunteers?
I don't think that's allowed, Miss Dawes.
You know what? You never know until you try. What other schools do we have represented? Who wants to sing it at their school? Have you done that before, Mr. Patterson?
We did it last year for the first time, and
Hmm.
so we negotiated a verse a week, right? So for the first 3 weeks, we did the first
Oh,
verse of it, and then the final week we did the whole song. And so we had our Lieutenant Womack, one of our ROTC cadets, and one of the other teachers that kind of did like a trio. I'm not sure, it's a quartet or whatever. And so she's moved on and graduated, and
hmm.
so the teachers were kind of unavailable. But we're still kind of maybe looking to do that the last week. Maybe even just play a rendition off the YouTube or something like that. Dr. Crocker has did a rendition that we've used for our UBSUC meeting, so we may be able to get the audio from that track and kind of play it. But it's something that you know um, we like to kind of get out there and just make sure that everybody kind of understands that there is something called a Black National Anthem. You may not know it as such, but it's something that
Hmm.
we're doing, and we're really looking forward to an event next Tuesday We're calling it our Black Hair Care event. I kind of sent that email out to my advisor, so they kind of settled on several black hairdressers in the area. They're going to come to AV and kind of talk about black hair care. There's going to be a little bit a presentation on the Crown Act, and for those who may not be familiar, the Crown Act is legislation that prevents discrimination against women of color in the workplace. And so we're going to do a little bit about that. My wife Deborah, who is a director of radiology services for Kaiser, she's going to come and speak about her personal experience with that. And then in our second hour, there's going to be a 56 period situation. Our second hour, the ladies who are coming, the different hairdressers are going to bring the practice heads, the dolls, and the girls are going to practice various kind of braiding techniques, cornrows, French braids, et cetera, et cetera. Just kind of, give them a little kind of idea on how to start businesses, get their licenses and things of that nature. So we're really looking forward to our Black Hair event over at AV.
Okay, and is that for the whole school?
It's going to be selected ladies who are going to be invited through a Google form. So we're looking to get about maybe 50 to 60 young ladies to kind of come. And this is kind of a trial run. If it goes well this year, then maybe we'll expand it next year to a wider audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, sounds good. Scholars, please rep your schools in the chat. We want to see who is here. And then I'm going to ask Mr. Brown if he can give us updates on that awesome step show at Lancaster High School today. I think I'm putting him on the spot, but okay.
It's okay. I'd be happy to, Ms. Dawes. So Lancaster was able to hold their first ever, and the district's first ever, well, let me not say the district's, our school's first ever step show. And it was a success. We had 2 schools that were able to come and bring their step teams with them. And it seemed like it was not going to happen. And I got to give credit where it's due. We were thinking about postponing, but Ms. Pineda at Soar High School was able to somehow do what I was not able to do. She was able to get our principal to respond and open up the small gym so that we could do it in the small gym. Both sites came with great energy. Separate, different sizes. Soars came with about 8 kids. Eastside came with about 15, 16, maybe 20 kids.
Nice.
But same energy from both. And our students were beyond receptive to it. We got kids to forego the first 20 minutes of their lunches to come check out the step show. And it was inspiring to see. So, I have not talked at length about, just the BSU of my site and the things that I'm facing and trying to just inspire them or get more output from them. But they were definitely inspired by what they saw today, just different schools able to show up and do something. So our meeting next week is going to be a big one because kids want to be active and they want to do things now. But it couldn't happen without Eastside. It could not happen without SOAR. And hopefully this is something that we're able to continue. And our school is even open to continuing it outside of Black History Month as well. So if you feel like springtime and the weather is nice and we can get some more participants, they are absolutely down to do it. So I would just want to say thank you again to the sites. Thank you to the kids. If any of them are up here right now, thank you all for showing up and showing out. And it was a great event, great Black History event.
All right, awesome. And then we can catch a replay. Is that only on the Instagram or is it on YouTube as well?
I am not saying.
I'm sorry. I was going to just chime in there, Mr. Brown, if that was okay. And thank you again for hosting and the BSU coming together. It was a great experience. So thank you for taking initiative and making that happen for us. The kids are looking forward to the next one already. So we will make sure that the video is posted to the YouTube channel for AVU HSE BSU, and then it's still available on the Instagram account as well. Thank you, Mr. Dawes.
Okay, all right, awesome. So I hope you guys caught that. You can catch it on the Instagram account, or it will also be up on YouTube. So that is so exciting. I see Miss Childs on. Mrs. Childs, do you have any updates? Do you have anything you want to share with us?
Not really, but congratulations, everyone. My step team was still practicing today, but the next one, Palmdale High, will be in the building. We're getting it together.
Okay, all right. Sounds awesome.
Oh,
Let me
one thing, Mr. Brown, if it's okay, I'll email you a few students at Palmdale High lost that are natural born leaders. They were in my girls mentorship program, and I know that they went to Lancaster High. So I'll email you their names, and hopefully that will help build your BSU.
Absolutely, Ms. Charles. That would be more than welcome. Thank you so much.
All right, awesome. Okay, you guys who are just joining, make sure you rep your school in the chat. Mr. Patterson, before we turn it over to AV, well, I'm going to go over the program, but do you have some updates, or you're good?
Uh, yeah, just a couple things. I know that there are sites that are considering taking a trip down to the crypto.com arena for an HBCU talk. Now this is during spring break, and so there's several sites who advisors have opted out, and but there is one site who is interested, and so we'll be in communication with them. It's going to be a panel talk and a mini HBCU fair at what is formerly known as the Staples Center, is now known as crypto.com. That's going to be on Thursday, March 23rd. Again, that's during spring break from 12 to 3:30. So your advisor will be in touch with you about that. Any students who are able to attend the Social Equity Commission of the City of Lancaster, they're having a Future Leaders Breakfast this Saturday at Jay Reynolds Park Activity Building. All of your advisors have been given the flyer, so it's free of charge. They will be providing breakfast, and the BSU advisors will be honored during this event. So we want to get as many advisors and BSU students out as possible. On the flyer that your advisors will have, there is a QR code that you must scan and register, so they know how many pieces of bacon and pancakes to have for the breakfast. So we're expecting, snow or bad weather. Hopefully that holds off at least till the morning time. It goes from 10 to 12 at Jane Reynolds Park this Saturday.
Okay, awesome. Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Patterson. All right. So for the meeting today, the title is "It Takes a Village." So we're going to talk about creating a village. Can y'all hear my dogs? You just chill. Um, so we're going to talk about what it takes to create a village and how you can build your own village and our village. And then it's Black History Month, so we have to play Black History Month Kahoot, and there will be prizes. But before we do that, we have a couple of things. Antelope Valley High School has a presentation about COVID, and then we have someone else coming in to speak about something. So please stay tuned. And Mr. Patterson, are your people ready?
I believe they are. Gentlemen, did we have a new revised PowerPoint that we're going to share? Does someone have that?
Yeah, I can share it.
Okay, cool. Let me give a little context. The first thing I want to do is give a big Antelope Valley Union High School District BSU shout out to Highland High School's Black Knowledge Bowl champions. Let's go and give a little finger snap. You know what I'm saying, for Brother Taino and his crew from Highland High School that kind of took home the gold for the Knowledge Bowl. We're proud of everybody, obviously, who participated, but there can only be one winner. And so this year it was the host team of Highland High. So we definitely want to make sure that we give them their props and acknowledge their hard work and dedication. And I'm sure that they will be ready to defend the crown next year. What you guys are getting ready to experience right now is a COVID wellness grant project that was sponsored through the United Black Student Unions of California, of which Brother Taino was represented or elected as president of the Southern region of the United Black Student Unions of California. Okay, this picture that you see in the background, right there, this was taken at UC San Diego back in November, where we were able to kind of go down and participate in the Southern Regional. And so through the UBSUC, 3 regions were granted an opportunity to receive money for doing a COVID wellness project. And so we're required to do 3 presentations. And so this is one of them that Taino Marino, Brother Malachi Stevens from AV, and Brother Jeremiah Cleveland, who have worked together to kind of put together this PowerPoint slide. It's going to be about 20 minutes in length. So if you can give them your undivided attention, and hopefully we're able to create some sort of Google survey or form or whatever that we would like for each one of you guys to fill out. They're going to drop the link in the chat. This is our documentation that we've actually presented the session to several students and get some feedback so we can prove this to the state and go and get these dollars. Okay. Next year is the 50th anniversary of the United Black Students of California. It's very hard to believe that this organization has been around for 50 years, that organizes BSU activities from across the state, and they're looking to host the 50th convention or Southern Regional at UC Santa Barbara next year. And so we'll be working with our advisors to see if we can get more students involved in the UBSUC project. And at this point in time, I will hand it over to the gentleman, and they can kind of take it away. Gentlemen?
Let me just share my screen, then I'll present the presentation. Can you see? Is it sharing?
Yes, it's sharing now.
Okay, so before we begin, I would like to give a little introduction. My name is Taino. Some of you probably know me. I go to Highland High School. I am the Southern Region President of UBSUC, and in March, I'll be running for state president. And
he's gonna win, y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. You're looking at the next state president of the United Black Student Unions of California. You heard it here first.
The first from the AV to do so, let me just say that. And so the goal of what I'm trying to do is bring these opportunities to all of you and the rest of the Antelope Valley, because we have so much potential out here, and I know we can all do great things together. And me, Jeremiah, and Malachi all worked on this presentation for the past couple of weeks to present to you kind of like an overview of how COVID-19 has impacted our society. And there's a lot of misinformation about COVID, especially in our own communities when it comes to vaccines or how you can get it and this and that. And so this presentation is really here just to give a better insight of what it is. And before I start, would the rest of my team like to introduce themselves?
Yes, my name is Jeremiah Cleveland. I go to AVHS. I'm a member of, AVHS BSU. And, I'm here to help support Taino for the next UBSUC conference, always down for him. So I'm going to be specifically about the slides. So I'm going to be talking about the statistical aspects of COVID. And I'll pass it on to Malachi now.
All right, hello, my name is Malachi Stevens. I represent Antelope Valley High, and today I'll be helping you guys, and I will be telling you guys some really important facts about COVID and how it can affect the mind and body and what can it actually do to us in a certain way, and other important facts that were actually missaid and misled, and things that we should actually know about the COVID and how it has actually been impacting us. And yeah.
Before we start, I would like to say, I'll remember you said that, Zoe. I'll remember that for next year about defending the crown. We'll see about that. So anyways, Malachi, would you like to start?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to start off with the table of contents about what is COVID and other things like that. First off, I'd like to say that COVID-19 disease was foremost and was definitely called the SARS-CoV-2 virus before they had completely came up with the name COVID. The COVID-19 has been around for centuries as a human coronavirus. It was first identified in 1965. The coronavirus could be found in many animals, such as pigs, cows, bats, mice, and other things that can carry on diseases. The first case of the COVID-19 was reported in the Chinese city of Wuhan on December 1st of 2019. There were 3 global outbreaks of the several disease due to a novel coronavirus have occurred in 31st century, as in Hong Kong, China in 2022, and other things like that. The complex biological structure of the COVID virus, which allows us to survive so long in the air. The COVID-19 primarily spreads with people. Oh, okay. Yeah. The COVID-19 primarily spreads throughout the world by people coughing and sneezing without a mask. So if you see someone wandering around coughing and sneezing and them having anything else other than a mask on, then you may have to tell anyone who has a mask around, or any type of authority or a teacher, anyone for that matter. The virus can live on a cardboard for about 24 hours, 2 to 3 days on a plastic steel, which means that it can last up for a good long while, which also resorting to the air, how it can spread around the air a lot quicker and actually spread a lot easier. The virus can easily spread by people who have been infected before and never developed any other symptoms at all. There are 4 types of new COVID variants that has been discovered, which is the Omicron, the Delta, and Alpha. Patients have had the COVID-19 for a very long time tend to develop an organ damage and body pain, which means that it will have a very negative effect on your lungs and your ability to breathe. You won't be able to breathe as much depending on how long you leave your body resting with the virus inside you. Other people, like older adults and people who have had a more older experience with their body, have had serving undying medical conditions like heart disease, lung disease, diseases that may seem to have a higher risk developing more serious complication with the COVID-19 illness. Now, the possible symptoms would obviously include the fever, having a high temperature, your body being too hot, you having chills, anything that resolves around coughing, sneezing, having difficulties breathing, so as having a runny nose, you have muscle and body pain, you will have a lot of headaches, you will have a very weird sense of taste and smell, because the virus will depending on how long the virus will develop in you, you will start to actually develop any other thing that you are normally tasting or smelling. You will have a different side effect for that. And for the most part, you will have a runny nose, which will also lead to more of you coughing, sneezing, anything else like that.
And before we continue, I would like to play a video for you guys to watch on more information about COVID. Can you see the screen, by the way?
Yes, we can.
We see it.
Okay. Just give it a second to load.
COVID-19 is a type of coronavirus that causes an infection that is now spread all over the world. There are a lot of kinds of coronaviruses. Most cause the common cold, but other coronaviruses are more serious. COVID-19 is new and hasn't been seen in people before. And for some people, it can become serious and dangerous. COVID-19 spreads person to person through droplets from coughing and sneezing. It can also spread when you are close to someone who is infected. It may be spread when you touch something that has the virus on it, such as a doorknob or countertop. Most people have only mild symptoms or even none at all. Symptoms can include a cough, a fever, and shortness of breath. When COVID-19 is severe, it can make it hard to breathe without help. People who are very sick are treated in a hospital. If you're having symptoms, call your doctor, because they may want to do a test. If you get a test, a swab will be used to take a sample of fluid from your nose or throat. Even if you don't feel sick right now, it's important to protect yourself and others from getting sick and spreading the infection. Here's what you can do. Limit where you go in your community, and stay home to avoid people who may be infected. It's also important to wash your hands often and well, especially after you cough or sneeze. Use soap and water and scrub for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water aren't available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Avoid touching your mouth, nose, and eyes. Stay home when you're sick, and ask people not to visit you. As healthcare and other community services learn more about COVID-19, information can change. It's a good idea to know what's happening in your community, schools, and work. Find reliable sources of information that give you facts about new cases and what you can do to prevent spreading the virus. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the World Health Organization are two online resources that you can trust. Thinking about COVID-19 and what it might mean to your family and to your community can be scary, but it can help to know that although the virus can be serious, most people recover. Knowing how it's spread and how to protect yourself can help everyone stay healthy.
So that's just a little video to give you a little more information. So now getting back to the presentation, just give it 1 second. And can you just let me know when it starts sharing, please? So I know when to continue. Oh.
It's sharing.
Okay,
Go back to your slide presentation.
Okay, now you see it?
Yeah, it says, what is COVID-19?
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
So.
Okay, I will continue on with the variants that we have found out as a group about COVID so far. These are the types of symptoms that have been newly found. Starting off with the Omicron, which is the most effective spreader of the COVID-19 of the vaccine or the COVID-19 so far. This most transmittable variant so far, which most likely less serve illness of COVID. The Omicron of the variants does not bury more deep into the lungs because it has less, fatality. The Omicron variant acts more similar like a biochronics, which is the effect of the lungs. We're just having trouble breathing, having trouble, breathing through your nostrils and any other type of way you breathe. We will have trouble with that because there will be like mucus building up in your lungs and like a type of weird type of fungus and mucus building up. And if you don't get that treated, that will be ending up to clog your holes and you won't be able to breathe. The Delta. Sorry about that. We're now going to turn on with the Delta. It has the same symptoms of COVID. People, especially at a younger age, has been getting sick more faster than by people with the more Delta variant. The higher spread of the Delta variant happened in places with a more lower vaccine rate, which means there are states out there that don't really have a lot of vaccines or actually get the virus Delta a lot more quicker and faster off of it. And after the Omicron, the Delta was one of the fastest spread rate. Now, these are the other variants of COVID. Alpha it became the arrival after, or the Delta variant. The Alpha variant was most of the dominant virus during the 2022. The Alpha variant was the most common variant in Canada between 2020 and 2021. The Alpha variant was very similar to the Delta variant, with it being less extreme, but still having the fast spreads and affecting younger people. This variant was one of the most first, despite the surges in the hospitalization, which thus meaning that this Alpha, one of the COVID-19 symptoms, were actually able to hospitalize more people because of the way how it spreaded, because it was after Omicron, that was becoming the first spread. Then it became from Delta. Then it came Alpha, which is now one of the third spreads throughout here. The last one, Beta, it was first democratic in South America, 2020. The best variant spiked the second wave of COVID in the South of Africa. The vaccine seemed to be less effective in presenting COVID when facing the beta variant. Studies have been shown that the mutations in the beta variant spike protein, which allows it to escape the immune response trained by vaccines. The beta variant is more transmittable, or was more transmittable during the early COVID-19. And now I will pass it on to Jeremiah.
So now we'll start to get to the statistics of COVID. As of February 3rd, 2023, there are 675 million cases of COVID worldwide. The top 3 countries with the highest COVID cases is America with 104 million, India with 44 million, and France with 39 million. There are 6.7 million deaths by COVID worldwide. COVID-19 has a fatality rate worldwide of 2.2%. Comparing that to Ebola, which has fatality rate of around 30%, COVID doesn't seem as bad, but it's still very dangerous. The highest number of new cases of COVID worldwide was in January 2022, basically meaning that was still like the peak of COVID during January 2022. As of February 2023, the newest Omicron variant, XBB.1.5, there's variants of variants, if that makes sense. It is the most dominant variant nationwide, being 74% of cases. The US has the highest number of COVID-related deaths with 1.1 million. Western Sahara actually has the lowest with only 1 death. So out of all of what's been happening, with COVID being around 3 years, they only had 1 death from COVID. So as you can see, there are 4 charts. If you look at the chart on the upper left-hand corner, this is total deaths of COVID sorted by age. If you look at the chart, you will see that people who are older tend to have the higher death rates. And that's usually because older people's immune systems weaken when they hit around that 50, 60 years of age, which means they're more vulnerable to many infections, not even including COVID. It's also harder for cells in your body to fight off the virus as you get older. However, while the statistics say that older people get the virus more and die from it, young people can also die quickly to COVID. And there have been many cases of young, healthy people passing away because of COVID. So there's been many cases of young people who had no like medical history before COVID suddenly passing away. This could be because of genetics, because genetics can affect the way you fight off the virus as well as many other viruses. As research found that heritable single gene mutations can be found in people that will affect their immune systems. Basically saying that genetics can allow for the COVID virus to pass into your body easier, even if you are young, healthy, strong bull. It doesn't matter. Now, if you look to the chart on your right-hand corner, upper right-hand corner, you will see that these are the percentages of COVID cases based off of race. Now, ethnicity-wise, white people have the highest highest amount of COVID cases. However, Blacks and Hispanics have the most COVID cases for their population, if that makes sense. This can be because of stress, unfair treatment that has been happening in hospitals. Even before COVID, this has been the case for a lot of Hispanics and Black people. The type of work can also affect if you get affected, and access to healthcare as well as location. It is no doubt that Black people and Hispanics work more in the service industry, basically meaning that they do more jobs that involves public services. I can account to this because my father works as a bus driver, meaning he's passing through many people throughout the day, meaning he is more likely to catch COVID. Thankfully, he has not, though. In 2018, 20% of employed Blacks and Hispanic people in the U.S. has worked in the service industry, basically meaning That's where a lot of public service jobs come from. It's from Black and Hispanic people. Working public jobs and not only, I mean, working public jobs not only gives people a higher chance of catching COVID, but the stress of the job can take a toll on your body and can raise the severity of COVID-19. Basically meaning the amount of stress you're receiving from that job can take mild symptoms to what can be deadly symptoms and cause of heart attack, for example. Lots of diseases can be caused from stress, such as obesity, diabetes, and high blood pressure. This shows, so if you look at the bottom left corner chart, this shows the normalized frequency of COVID. The normalized frequency basically means how common. If you look at it, I know it's a bit like shrunken, but basically lots of people get COVID for around 5 days. There are a few cases where it can be months and even years, but the most common cases have been about 5 to 10 days. Now depending on how basically how long COVID is in your body can depend on multi-organ effects that happens with people with severe COVID-19. Basically saying if COVID affects multiple organs in your body, it will last longer. Therefore, you will have symptoms for longer periods of time. Now, if you look at the bottom right-hand corner chart, it basically shows the most common symptoms of coronavirus, with fever being number 1, dry cough second, and fatigue third. You can move on to the next. Okay. Now this is the number of COVID cases by state. This is updated as of February 2023, so it's fairly new. As you can see, California, Texas, and Florida are top 3 in the most COVID cases. That can be because California, Texas, and Florida is one of the most popular states in the U.S. As you continue looking on, though, you have New York, Illinois, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Ohio, Georgia, Michigan, New Jersey, Washington, and Tennessee. If you look at the states that are there, you can see that there are a lot of eastern states. And that is because COVID first started in Washington, specifically Seattle. That was the first case to ever be reported in the US started in Washington. And that was Washington's also the state with the first reported COVID related death. So the virus basically affected most of the southern regions first because of so many large populated states in the east coast. And you can continue. And as you can see, the state with the least amount of COVID cases is the District of Columbia. Alaska, I want to talk about Alaska because Alaska 300,000. You think about Alaska, you think it's not so, like, how is it so populated? I mean, it's not populated. So how does it have 300,000? It was really simple. Is because since the COVID virus started from overseas, it actually hit Alaska kind of before it hit like the rest of the United States. But the freezing temperatures of Alaska also help dilute the virus, which is why it's kind of at the bottom. You can continue.
Before I take over, I would just like to show you another video about how COVID-19 vaccines work. Is the screen sharing?
Yes.
Yeah, the video is loading right now.
Okay, thank you. Just give it a second to load.
This is awesome, you guys. I feel like we're all learning so much.
Thank you.
In the 20th century, most vaccines took well over a decade to research, test, and produce. But the vaccines for COVID-19 cleared the threshold for emergency use in less than 11 months. The secret behind this speed is a medical technology that's been developing for decades, the mRNA vaccine. This new treatment uses our body's existing cellular machinery to trigger an immune response, protecting us from viruses without ever experiencing an infection. And in the future, this approach might be able to treat new diseases almost as quickly as they emerge. So how do these revolutionary vaccines work? The key ingredient is in the name. mRNA, or messenger ribonucleic acid, is a naturally occurring molecule that encodes the instructions for producing proteins. When our cells process mRNA, a part of the cell, called the ribosome, translates and follows these instructions to build the encoded protein. The mRNA in these vaccines works in exactly the same way, but scientists use the molecule to safely introduce our body to a virus. First, researchers encode trillions of mRNA molecules with the instructions for a specific viral protein. This part of the virus is harmless by itself, but helpful for training our body's immune response. Then, they inject those molecules into a nanoparticle, roughly 1,000 times smaller than the average cell. This nanoparticle is made of lipids, the same type of fatty material that forms the membrane around our cells. But these lipids have been specially engineered to protect the mRNA on its journey through the body and assist its entry into the cell. Lastly, the final ingredients are added, sugars and salt, to help keep the nanoparticles intact until they reach their destination. Before use, the vaccine is kept at a temperature of -20 to -80 degrees Celsius to ensure none of the components break down. Once injected, the nanoparticles disperse and encounter cells. The lipid coating on each nanoparticle fuses with the lipid membrane of a cell and releases the mRNA to do its work. At this point, we should note that while the vaccine is delivering viral genetic material into our cells, it's impossible for this material to alter our DNA. mRNA is a short-lived molecule that would need additional enzymes and chemical signals to even access our DNA, let alone change it. And none of these DNA-altering components are present in mRNA vaccines. Once inside the cell, the ribosome translates the mRNA's instructions and begins assembling the viral protein. In COVID-19 vaccines, that protein is one of the spikes typically found on the virus's surface. Without the rest of the virus, this lone spike is not infectious, but it does trigger our immune response. Activating the immune system can be taxing on the body, resulting in brief fatigue, fever, and muscle soreness in some people. But this doesn't mean the recipient is sick. It means the vaccine is working. The body is producing antibodies to fight that viral protein that will then stick around to defend against future COVID-19 infections. And since this particular protein is likely to be found in most COVID variants, these antibodies should reduce the threat of catching new strains. This approach offers significant advantages over previous vaccines. Traditional vaccines contain weakened versions of live viruses or amputated sections of a virus, both of which require time-intensive research to prepare and unique chemical treatments to safely inject. But mRNA vaccines don't actually contain any viral particles, so they don't have to be built from scratch to safely adjust each virus. In fact, every mRNA vaccine could have roughly the same list of ingredients. Imagine a reliable, robustly tested vaccine that can treat any disease by swapping out a single component. To treat a new illness, researchers would identify the right viral protein, encode it into mRNA, and then swap that mRNA into the existing vaccine platform. This could make it possible to develop new vaccines in weeks, giving humanity a flexible new tool in the never-ending fight against disease. But where did vaccines get started? Watch this video to travel back to 1796, when an 8-year-old boy.
So that's a video describing kind of how the vaccines work. And I know especially in our communities, it was very skeptical. It still is, because, you know, so much in our community throughout our hundreds of years, we've been lied to, given false promises. And so we kind of naturally have a stigma towards these things. And the fact that they're able to make it so fast, it made a lot of people very skeptical about the whole thing. And so so the next couple of slides are going to be describing to you the different vaccines, each specific one, how they work, different symptoms. So let me just switch my screen over. Is the screen sharing?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So here's some of the different vaccines. The first one is Moderna. This one is for people about 6 months and older. You get 2 shots of the vaccine, getting 48 weeks apart. You can get a booster vaccine 5 months after getting the Moderna vaccine, and it started being released to the public in January 2022. There's also the Pfizer vaccine for people ages 16 or older. You would get 2 shots being 3 to 8 weeks apart. Adults can get a booster 2 months after getting the Pfizer vaccine, and it was released to the public in August 2021. And what you might notice too is that there's age differences. Like, a lot of younger kids can't take the vaccines that adults can take, and vice versa, just because their body isn't adapt to that yet. So that's why there are some different vaccines for different age groups. And some more of the different vaccines, there's Johnson & Johnson. Its vaccine is a virus vector, which is a modified, weakened version of a different virus. So imagine if it's almost like injecting, like the way this works is if you were to, it's like putting a different version of the virus, like it says in you, and your antibodies react to that. And then after that, your antibodies know how to fight it off. So if you get the actual virus, your body already kind of has a defense since it knows about it already. And the Johnson & Johnson virus is for adults 18 and older who specifically request for the vaccine or cannot afford the others. The vaccine had a pause put on when it concerns over where blood clots arose back in 2021, which was lifted. And so, like I said earlier, there was a lot of skepticism with the vaccines when it first came out, because there are reports of, like I say here, where blood clots. And so a lot of people were just skeptical of the whole thing. And the Johnson & Johnson was released to the public in February of 2021, and the vaccine only requires 1 shot in total, so it doesn't require boosters after boosters. And there's also the Novavax vaccine. The vaccine was released to the public in July 2022. Novavax is a protein-based vaccine. People 12 and older can get the vaccine. Novavax was the 4th vaccine created and is one of the most efficient ones. And the vaccine requires 2 shots about 3 to 8 weeks apart. And so now I'm going to be playing another video about the efficiency of vaccines. You just give me 1 second. Just let me know when it starts sharing and I'll play the video.
You're good, Taino. It's sharing.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hey, do you ever walk into a room and completely forget why you're there?
Get to that.
Yeah, totally. Do you ever feel like
No, I don't.
no one knows who you really are?
When Pfizer first reported the efficacy of their COVID-19 vaccine, a staggering 95%, many thought that would mark an end to the pandemic. But that hasn't happened. Vaccination rates have remained low in certain parts of the world despite multiple available vaccines. And there's also been reports of breakthrough cases where fully vaccinated people get COVID. And now, recent unpublished data from Israel showed that the Pfizer vaccine was only 40% effective at reducing the risk of symptomatic COVID. So, if the original trials showed high efficacy, why did a large portion of people in this Israeli study get COVID? Here's why those two numbers are so far apart, and why neither of them can tell the full story. To understand this gap, first you need to understand the difference between efficacy and effectiveness. Vaccine efficacy refers to how well a vaccine performs under ideal, tightly controlled conditions like clinical trials. For example, during trials for COVID-19, vaccines were given to people on a tight schedule. It also has to do with what the researchers were studying. Here, they were looking at how well vaccines prevented symptomatic infections in a limited number of people, not whether they prevented infection altogether or kept people from being contagious. And with COVID-19, it's possible to be infected and not show symptoms.
What determines how efficacious or how well the vaccine works in a trial is really two things.
Lisa Lee has studied the spread of viruses for 30 years and has held leadership roles at the CDC.
It's how contagious the virus is, how many people an infected person might infect if in the absence of a vaccine. And it also depends a lot on the host, that is people. How well can the vaccine stimulate the right immune response for people?
In Pfizer's study, the company tested about 44,000 people for symptomatic COVID-19, and only 170 developed the disease with at least one symptom. And of those, just 8 had been vaccinated, while 162 had gotten the placebo. This is what added up to that 95% efficacy rate. This, by the way, means that in a vaccinated population, 95% fewer people will contract the disease when they come in contact with the virus. Not that each individual is 95% immune, but that efficacy rate was calculated during a specific time and under a specific set of circumstances. Many people were staying at home, avoiding large gatherings, wearing masks, and the virus hadn't mutated as much. Vaccine effectiveness, on the other hand, is how well a vaccine works in the real world, outside of clinical settings, where it's harder to control variables that were constant in a study, like when people get their vaccines.
We know the real world is kind of messy. Not everybody gets their vaccines at the exact interval. Not everybody has the same kind of immune system.
And behavior is changing too. In many places, businesses are open and large gatherings are happening again. This is part of why efficacy numbers in trials are often higher than the effectiveness we see in the real world. And what makes this all the more complicated is that the virus itself is still evolving. The Delta variant, which has become dominant in multiple countries, is more transmissible than earlier strains of the virus, which means that more people will come in contact with it. It became dominant months after the vaccines had been authorized and millions of doses had been distributed. That means our current shots were designed for an earlier version of the coronavirus and don't work as well against Delta. This is part of why we're hearing more about breakthrough cases. US states counted over 190,000 breakthrough cases between January 1st and early August this year. That's among millions who are already vaccinated. And remember that Israeli study? Data was collected for it in June and July, when Delta was dominant there. Health officials saw breakthrough cases were more likely among people who had gotten the vaccine early on, in January or February. This is partly because antibodies, which the body produces after the vaccine to protect itself against the virus, naturally decrease over time. That, along with the unknowns about variants, is a big reason why the Biden administration announced new vaccine recommendations.
We are announcing our plan to stay ahead of this virus by being prepared to offer COVID-19 booster shots to fully vaccinated adults 18 years and older.
What we want to do is make sure that we keep that immunity high enough so when it starts to wane, we want to make sure that people are able to get that third shot.
That should increase the chances that the vaccines prevent severe illness that could then lead to hospitalization and death. Still, there's some debate among public health experts as to whether booster shots are needed right now. That's because antibodies are not the body's only defense against the virus. There are also certain immune cells that prepare the body to fight off pathogens, and those may not be waning. And while breakthrough cases continue to occur, experts say that these cases are usually mild and don't result in severe illness. Let's go back to that Israeli data that showed that the Pfizer vaccine is now only 40% effective against symptomatic COVID. Well, that same study showed that the vaccine had a 91% effectiveness against hospitalization and death.
The vaccine really, what it does is help us slow the speeding car, and it helps us to reduce transmission, and that is what's going to get us out of this pandemic.
In addition to vaccines, experts also recommend preventive measures like mask wearing and social distancing to keep the virus from spreading and mutating further.
So there was a lot to unpack there, but that was just a video. It's kind of talking about the different vaccines, how it all works, etc. And what's important to remember is COVID is still a thing. I know a lot with our society. You know, we're going out now, going to parties, concerts, this and that, and it's almost like it never existed. And so it's important that we still recognize, even though we have these freedoms, we still have to remember that this is still a thing. It's still evolving and growing, and we still have to take steps to prevent it. So let me just go back to the slideshow. Is it sharing?
No.
No.
No, this time it's not.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to here and reshare it. I think from closing the tab stopped it. Okay, it's slowing back up. Just give it a second. It's low. It's there now?
Yes.
And sorry, I said efficiency, I mean efficacy of vaccines. And so there's different side effects of the vaccines, like I said before, but some more that are mentioned here are pain or swellness of where the shot was given, fever, fatigue, headache, muscle pain, chills, pain, nausea, shortness of breath, which is where, and chest pain, which is where. And a lot of people get scared of these symptoms, but it's nothing to be too worried about, because all you're feeling is your body reacting to the virus. It's like when you get sick, you know, your body feels sick. It's kind of like that. When you're giving yourself this vaccine, you're giving your body a little bit of the virus in a way. So like I said, it gets used to it. So you're gonna feel these symptoms, but it's perfectly normal. And so as we approach the last slide, like I said before, I know there's a lot of skepticism when it comes to the vaccine, our communities. We've had so many setbacks throughout our time in America that it's natural for us to be kind of skeptical of things like this, especially how Jeremiah said earlier, you know, Black and brown people are more likely to get this because of the conditions they live in, of how they work in. So with all this that we talked about, I would just like to ask, you can either say or just type in the chat, are you pro-vaccine? Why or why not? And what can you do to make sure that you stay safe? They keep your community safe, your family safe, you safe, etc. And that's it. I know it was a lot to unpack, but thank you all for listening. And what I'm gonna do too is I'm gonna put a Google Forms link in the comment section. And so if you guys can just fill that out and just put like your name, student ID, what you learned, any feedback, that would be great. Thank you.
All right, let me give you a round of applause. That was awesome. Good job. Good job. And so will you gentlemen be sharing that knowledge also to other places?
Yes.
Okay. And how is that received within the African American community? Because I know there's some, you know, I like that you touched on the fact that, you know, we're a little skeptical, a little hesitant to just jump in. I was one of those people that I was like, how'd you get the vaccine so quick? So how are people, are we your first audience?
Yes, you guys are. You guys are special.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any feedback? Okay, I'll read. Zoe Brown says, I'm pro vaccine. However, people should have the freedom of deciding for themselves. I'm staying safe by keeping my hands and surfaces clean, as well as staying up to date with vaccines. All right. Awesome. Okay. So the gentlemen do have a Google Forms in there. So if you guys can fill it out, this is a project that they are doing, and they have certain things that they need to demonstrate also, for some grant money. So if we can help them out, we definitely want to be able to do that. So everybody click on that. I will say that I have an autoimmune disorder. So, I was definitely, kind of hesitant, but I did take the vaccine eventually. And, I'm happy about it. I'm happy about it. It feels safer. Before we move on to Mr. Nigel Holly, does anybody have any feedback? Anybody want to add something?
Well, I'm going to jump in here real quick, just in the interest of time. We do want to apologize. This was our first run out the barn, and so we're getting our timing down and things of that nature. But I'm so proud of these young men, right? To see the level of research and the level of effort and commitment to black male academic excellence. It just warms my heart to see them pursue this and go forward. And we're hoping to be that the burning light for other students, particularly the other men on the call. That's one of the Brother Taino's platforms as he runs for state president, is what we have affectionately termed the Black Male Leadership Initiative. And it is our goal that each site within the BSU to not only increase black male participation, but black male participation in leadership roles such as the ones that you're seeing. And so, uh, kudos to you, young men. I know that was nerve wracking, but you kind of stood tall. You stood in the face of nervousness and self doubt, and you got it done. And so, I'm so proud of you. If you ain't in the water, baby, you know you can't get wet. Splash down.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. If we have any seniors on the call, please identify yourself in the chat, because we need to see if we need to set up a breakout room for you guys so you can touch base about FAFSA and some deadlines coming up. All right. And then before we play the Black History Month Kahoot and get into talking about building our village, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Nigel Holly, who has some information for us.
Good evening, family. That was a wonderful presentation. I think I even picked up on some information that I didn't already know. So well done. Looking forward to you guys' continued success. I just sent in my response, so hopefully that helps with something. I'm here to just really invite you guys out to the State of Black Futures Breakfast. That breakfast will take place on Saturday at 10 a.m. It will run from 10 a.m. to roughly 12 p.m. The breakfast is free. It will be indoors, so don't panic about the weather. I know that is a big concern. Right now, we have roughly 74 persons registered, not including the Justice Sunday alumni and some of our speakers. So we're hoping to get you guys involved. The goal is to create a platform for the BSUs to network with influential minorities in the community. And one of those influential minorities is on the call, Sean Cannon, which is the youngest deputy mayor in the history of the city of Lancaster, and was one of the youngest commissioners ever appointed as into a public official position in the city of Lancaster. And he is also the representative for our state senator. So I brought him in to say hello and to also invite you guys out to join us. These are the type of people who you'll get an opportunity to network with, to break bread with, and to hopefully grow with. Sean, can you chime in?
Sure. Thank you, Nigel. Hi, everybody. That was a great presentation. Again, my name is Sean Cannon. I'm 23 years old. I am, like Nigel said, one of the youngest deputy city officials in the city. I will just say this. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you and to talking to you. Some of you already know. But I will say this. I got to where I am because right when I graduated high school and while I was in high school, I felt that the folks that ran our community needed to know what it was like to be us in this community. And now that I am one of those folks that are helping run the community, I can tell you that we need to know what it's like to be where you're at right now. And it's forums like this and it's forums like the breakfast is where we can learn that. And so, yeah, come to those events, come to those public meetings, and continue to be an inspiration for myself and others. Thank you.
I placed in the chat the link to our kind of overview of the event. On that slide deck, you can click the flyer if you would like to see it. And then I also posted the form for you to register. It is our hopes to see you there. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Patterson, Ms. Pineda, and all of the rest of the BSU advisors for allowing us to speak. But more importantly, thank you students for continuing to move the ball forward. You guys are definitely a future we can depend on. If there's any questions, I'll take those now.
Well, it's not really a question, but I've always had like a normal fear, but ever since, this is happening right now, I'm kind of pushing myself a lot further so I can better on and work more with myself so I can be more presentative to what I do. And I'm so happy and I'm very glad and I'm very thankful, Nigel, that you were here to represent me and hear what I had to say, and you listened, and I highly respect, and I hope to talk to you and may speak with you about certain things and for the better. Thank you very much.
I'm looking forward. You know where I'm at. Pop by. Let's have a conversation. Any other questions for me? All right. I do got to give Taino a shout out. That's my guy up there. Keep up the good work, man. All right, Malachi, looking forward to talking to you. If there's no questions, we'll sign off and let you guys proceed with your meeting. Again, thank you guys for the opportunity to speak. I did put the form in the chat.
Shout out to you too, Nigel. Thank you for all you do for our community. We all love you and appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to Jesse Sunday next year because I know we're going to do just as a great play as we did. And again, you're the best. Thank you.
All right, family. You guys have a good night.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, Zoe Brown. Go ahead, Zoe.
Okay, what am I supposed to be saying?
We're about to get into the Kahoot.
Oh, okay, cool. So this Kahoot is about information basically from Knowledge Bowl. So Knowledge Bowl participants, if you're familiar with it, maybe like try to let some of the other people in the group get some answers, but they are Knowledge Bowl questions. And so, yeah.
Yes. So try to, give other people a chance. Taino. All right. The link is there. Let's post the link. Let me see. Did the link come through? Oh, yeah. The link is there. And can you guys see my screen? Okay, are you guys able to join? I don't see anybody popping up. Oh, there we go. Okay. Because I guess I'll give others a try since Zoe, since I'm defending my crown now, Okay, we're not going to talk about how we were at Highland and y'all glitched everybody else. Okay, so if you guys have done Bookcat before, you can either click on the link or join. Go to 756-2642, 756-2642. And while you guys are joining, I want you to think about what it means to build community and be part of a village. We'll be having a quick little chat about that when we finish this Kahoot. And again, if we have any seniors on the call, please identify yourself so we can carve out some time for you if you need it. I want to say so far, you guys have been amazing. It's been a great meeting, great presentation. I love the engagement. I appreciate you guys giving feedback to the gentleman who presented. Thank you, gentlemen, for stepping out of your comfort zone and providing this essential information that's needed for our community. And Mr. Nigel Holly, I know some of y'all say that BSU is so busy. It is busy, but look at all of these wonderful opportunities. I mean, on Saturday, instead of cooking breakfast, you can go and eat breakfast for free and be served a good meal and hear some great things. So keep on participating.
And Miss Sia, please let the students know that part of the event is to actually honor the BSU advisors, and so that would be a wonderful thing to have the advisors out and to have the students out so that we can come out and get our flowers. As they say, we love you guys, and there's nothing that we wouldn't do for you. But this is hard work as well as hard work, and so we just want you to know that we'll be doing anything for you. But come on out and give us a round of applause if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, yes, I think you did an awesome job with that. All right, let's go ahead and get started.
I've actually been there. It's a very beautiful place. If you ever get a chance to go see it.
Miss, are you speaking? Muted.
You know what? I thought I was speaking. Thank you for telling me that. I was just reading the questions. All right. Oh, leaderboard is switching up. Okay, let's go. What country flag is this? Kenya. That is Kenya. Mr. Patterson, I was saying, should Paisley Park be a BSU field trip?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Sugar Shack, painted by Ernie Barnes, was displayed during the end credits of We Lucky We Got 'Em. Good times, good times. All right, Maurice Ellington, Deborah, Sheila, and Jayla on that leaderboard. Black History Month started as Negro History Week. Negro History Week. Deborah, Zoe, Maurice, Ellington, and Osai. Who invented the street light that is used all over the world? Let's go. Garrett Morgan. Garrett Morgan. In a different world, the students attended the fictional HBCU. Hillman. Yes, the students attended Hillman College. Shayla, Jayla, Sheila, Ellington, Maurice, and Zoe. Jane Bolin graduated from Yale Law School and became the nation's first female African American judge. She became the first judge, paving the way for the likes of Ketanji Jackson Brown. This lawyer won the Supreme Court case that ended school segregation and was later appointed to the same court. Very first African American male to serve on the Supreme Court. Thurgood Marshall. Oh, 78% of y'all. Okay, come through, come through. Last question, last question. This American poet and essayist is known for her passionate writings on lesbian, feminism, and racial issues. Audra Lord, Audra Lord. All right, okay, let's see where we are. All right, taking the bronze medal is Deborah. In silver is Ellington, and first place gold is Maurice. All right. Okay, congratulations. I'm gonna have to get your emails. Well, I have Maurice and Ellington. So Deborah's, I need to get your email so you can make sure we get a prize on the way to you. All right, good job, good job, good job, all of you. Okay, all right, thanks you guys for telling me I was muted. Okay, so today we're talking Okay, I'm back. I was trying to stop sharing and I just left the call. I apologize. All right. Okay. So today our topic was it takes a village. It takes a village. So we only have a few minutes left. So for the sake of time, just going to kind of go through this. I think most of you know that I am from West Africa. And so I don't speak for the whole continent, but I know in my part of Africa, we have what is tribalism, right? Does anybody know what I mean when I say tribalism?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Deborah, what is tribalism?
Okay, so I also have tribes in my country. So tribalism is also a discrimination against another tribe. It also can be hate against another tribe.
Yes. All right. So we have tribalism, and so we're very conscious of the fact that there's a village mentality and there's a tribal mentality. And so what we want to make sure we have is a village mentality, because like what Deborah said, a tribal mentality is where it's just about us, right? Whereas a village mentality is we are doing good for everyone. And in Africa, a lot of times when you're looking at tribalism, that means like this tribe doesn't want people marrying from this tribe, or this tribe thinks that we cook this food better and that food better. But what we really want to have is we want to be a village where everybody works together. It's open and we are all doing this for the good of everyone. Is everyone with me so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Because I think sometimes we have to stop and think about, are we being a tribe or are we being a village? And so we're just going to talk real quick about building up our village. And I think that you guys know that in BSU, we're also our own village. And so I'm going to share my screen because I want us to be able to look at our mission statement, right? And maybe we can all say it together. Is that opening? Okay, yes. So we can all, maybe just kind of unmute. I think we do this from time to time, is go over our mission statement. So maybe, I don't know, like on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Our mission statement. We are here
to
to
serve
serve
as
as
the
the
primary advocates to
organization
Black
for
students.
Black students. We are here to represent the needs and celebrate
Celebrate
the
the
success
success
of
of
Black
Black
students.
students. We are
We are
here to
here to
promote
promote
excellence
excellence
in
as
political
well
and
as
awareness.
political.
We are here to uplift
We are here to
diversity
uplift
and promote
Black
diversity and
students,
awareness of
promote
all.
diversity and awareness for all.
Diversity, awareness for all.
All right. Okay. Awesome. Um, Thank you for that. Okay, it's okay. It's okay, Taino. Okay, and so that right there kind of lets you know what the purpose is of BSU and why we are here and why we do so many things, right? But just like in BSU and in the same way that our civil rights leaders and activists, and even going all the way back to Lincoln and the Civil War and the Emancipation, we had to have allies. We had to have other people that were part of our village. Can anybody just unmute and tell us what an ally is?
Like I'm thinking of more like someone like a teammate, like someone you're working with, or like someone that you know is like a friend.
Okay, so a teammate, a friend. Anyone else want to add to that?
A partner that you can trust.
Okay, so we have a teammate, a friend, a partner that you can trust. What else? Let me get one more.
Someone that is very trustworthy and someone that you can rely and depend on, and someone that will not take your word for granted, and that's someone that you can always look up to and always have on your back. So whenever you need something or you are struggling through a hard time, you may have him or her next to you to cheer you on and to have you keep going.
Exactly. Yes, those were excellent, excellent definitions, right? That's exactly what it is. Do we all feel like we need allies? Yeah, I'm just going to take it that you guys are saying yes. Yes, so we can all use allies. And so in the school environment, how do we build and create allies, which is going to help us build community? What does that look like? So you can put it in the chat or you can unmute. What does it look like? I'm just waiting for them to put it in. All right, so I wanted you guys to being kind and friendly. All right, yes. That's definitely a good way to start. Nobody wants to be your ally if you're stealing their food. But what about creating allies with not just your peers, but what about even the staff on campus? What does that look like? How do you build community with them? Yes, Miss Pineda, jump in.
Thank you, Mrs. Dawes. I'm sorry, I don't mean to jump in, but I wanted to share with the group. One of our allies today with the STEP show was the principal at Lancaster because he was willing to host the clubs to come and perform together. And so we made sure to say thank you and recognize that there was someone that's not necessarily in the BSU, but willing to look out for the BSU because that's the support that grows the club, grows the program, helps us to have really positive experiences. So anytime your advisors ask you to write a letter, let people know, let them know what it means to you. That's that allyship that continues to help us build without recognizing the help or without recognizing, hey, I see you looking out for us, that it goes unnoticed and everybody likes to feel appreciated. So definitely recognizing when someone is looking out for you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Ms. Pineda. That's great. Taino?
Mr. Patterson's reaction is exactly what I was thinking because, like Ms. Pineda just said, having allies as staff is really good because they're the ones who are going to allow you to do these different activities and events, like all the trips we go to HBCUs or state level stuff. That's only because of our staff and the people above. And so, like, even kind of like Ellington just said in the chat, just saying hi, like little gestures, it automatically makes them feel appreciated since they get no types of appreciation. And the letters do a lot too, because I've heard this Mr. Patterson a million times, but it really works, is when you write a letter coming from you, it's different than like an adult asking another adult. It's a kid asking the adult. It's just a different perspective, and it's just good for like networking, building connections.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's different coming from you guys, right? They could hear it from us, but when they get it from you guys, and thank you to all of you who have written letters. The superintendent, they've shared before how appreciative they are about the letters. Yes, Miss Pineda.
I'm sorry. I have to just add, I still have my thank you letter from Marcel from Sword Prep BSU. He had just wrote me a nice little comment one day and I left it on my refrigerator because it is nice to get that from a student because adults, we talk all the time, but when you all recognize the people around you that care about you outside of your family, like it really does go a long way. He even drew a little stamp and everything. I still have my card.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. Okay. All right. So, for the sake of time, because we know that you guys are busy, some of you already said you had homework and this, that, and the other. We've had a great meeting. So, I just want to just emphasize to you guys that we definitely want to have a village mentality. We want to grow our village. So, we want to bring people in. That means I've seen it on the SOAR Prep campus where you guys extend kindness and friendship to other people to bring them into the group. I have to say too that even So on SOAR Prep on our campus, we had some students that started a petition to keep a staff member there. And I thought that that was really, you know, sweet and kind, and also, you know, kind of like building that allyship. I think we always want to start off with being thankful for the things that we do have, right? Because it's easy to be like, oh, we have this and then and complaining, but we're thankful first for the things that we do have. We want to encourage you guys to step out and have that courage and the confidence, you know, to advocate for yourself, maybe to even step up to people that you normally wouldn't, right? As we are building our village. And always keep in mind that we are a village here too, right? And this is a safe space. We work hard because we love you guys. So, you know, when y'all say y'all be doing too much, we do it just like Mr. Patterson said, you know, out of the love and care, because we want to be our village and a village for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to end it on that unless somebody has something to say. Make sure that you're keeping up with our website and the Instagram and the YouTube page for all of the information. You don't want to miss any good things. And happy Black History Month to everybody. Do y'all have your sweatshirt? Mine came in. Mine came in.
Hey, Miss Dawes, I see your sweatshirt. Let's see the back. Let's see the back of the sweatshirt. Look at that. Represent.
BSU.
BSU, you know.
All right, if you missed the first round, there'll be another round coming again soon. Okay, so we appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for popping in. My SOAR Prep kids, I will see you guys tomorrow. And everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe in this crazy weather.
You too. Have a great day, Miss.
I like your hair, by the way.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye, Miss Dawes.
Thank you, Mr. P. Thank you, Mrs. Dawes,
Advisors,
for hosting. Y'all are awesome.
Kudos
We'll talk
to
to you
all the
later.
advisors that are still on. We doing it, y'all. We doing it.
Yes. Thank you, Zoe, for helping me out. And we're going to get Taino.
That whole court advantage was something else.
You know. But they did that. They did that.
All right now. All right now.
I was like, what is this? The Patriots?
That's what the whole court advantage is for, baby. You know what I mean?
That's right.
All right.
You guys have a great evening.
Okay, bye.
All
Bye,
right.
Jayla. All right. Thank you, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.